These are RotoWire 6 breakout wideouts for 2025 fantasy football. Let's help you target them before your league mates do. We're starting out with Odunze, Chicago Bears. We wanted him to do it last year. First round draft pick, top 10 pick in the NFL draft, but the Bears decided to have Keenan Allen in town. It was a broken offense. Of course, DJ Moore was leading the charge. Odunze was only able to get leftovers, ends up with 54 catches, 734 yards, and ultimately a disappointing rookie campaign. However, we saw flashes from Odunze. 64th percentile yards after the catch, even though he was targeted deep. Usually deep passes lead to low yards after the catch. Not for Odunze. He had a couple of 100-yard games showing that he can get it done when given opportunity. And after week 7, at least his targets went up to 6.5 per game. So at least we saw the Bears' willingness to get him involved a bit. But this year, things are going to be much better. Keenan Allen, long gone. Coach Ben Johnson in. Offensive line completely revamped. Caleb Williams will not only have time to throw, but he will have a schemed up offense that will allow Odunze to meet that vast potential that we saw heading into last year's draft. The Bears defense probably not going to be great. DeAndre Swift leads the running game. Probably not a sustaining running game. This team may be throwing 35 times a game. Odunze in the ADP about wide receiver 30, we could be looking at a top 24 finish and a big year 2 breakout. We go next to Cedric Tillman of the Cleveland Browns. And last year, you'll remember Amari Cooper got traded. And in week 7, Cedric Tillman took over the starting job. He had 3 weeks, and he already showed us who he was. He averaged 7 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown on those 3 starts. Week 10, he had a bye week. Come out of week 10, suffers a season-ending concussion. That said, we saw the beginning of the breakout. Cedric Tillman, the clear number 2 outside receiver, alongside Jerry Jeudy. Deontay Johnson will play a little slot there, but Tillman has shown us. And the quarterback play was not very good in Cleveland, so this year may not get a good quarterback play either. But that said, Cedric Tillman can win downfield, can be a physical presence after the catch, but he is a real player as a 3rd-round draft pick who can make a huge difference. And in drafts, you're getting him around wide receiver 65 for a player that if he gets the breakout, I'm imagining you could be looking at a top 30 receiver at a steal in your draft. All right, next, Keon Coleman, Buffalo Bills. Last year, Keon Coleman was actually off to a really good start. Picked it up in week 4 a little bit, and through week 8, only 3 catches per game, but 64 yards, 4/10 of a touchdown, 5 targets. He was starting to show ability as an outside perimeter receiver to go with Josh Allen. We go to last year. A chipped bone in the wrist put Keon Coleman out for a number of games. When he came back, he was not a factor in the offense. I have to think it had to do with the recovery from that injury. This year, let's watch Keon Coleman pick up where he left off in week 8 and maybe more. The Buffalo Bills, they do not have a dynamic receiving room. If you argue with Coleman, Khalil Shakir, the slot receiver, may be their best receiver. This team needs Keon Coleman to be a factor on the perimeter, and I fully expect him to command a high level of targets. And getting him at wide receiver 54, don't be surprised to see Keon Coleman finish in the top 40 receivers, continuing a healthy season and playing at a very high level in the red zone where we love to watch him play. Hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us keep the fantasy advice coming. And if you want even more of RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You head to rotowire.com. You choose your subscription. You use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, let's get a few more for your Jayden Higgins, Houston Texans 2nd-round pick. The beauty here, C.J. Stroud did not have a great year last year. The offensive system wasn't great. The offensive line wasn't great. But the bigger deal was the league made some adjustments to C.J. Stroud. Well, C.J. Stroud was a superstar as a rookie. C.J. Stroud now gets to make adjustments back to the league now that he sees how defenses want to handle him. I believe in the superstar ability of C.J. Stroud. The offensive line, I wish it was better, but I believe a great quarterback can overcome them. Nico Collins is certainly going to threaten defenses and be the main focal point. Christian Kirk most likely starts in the slot, good player, but they're going to need an outside presence and somebody that can make those big catches to keep moving the chains. Jayden Higgins is likely to see a high level of targets. Now, he may not be the big touchdown scorer, but I expect when a Texans team with this level of quarterback play, we can see that rookie year breakout from that outside receiver that's not seeing a lot of defensive attention. We know contested catches are Jayden Higgins' deal, and this is the league in which he can shine and show that with C.J. Stroud. Let's go next to Tennessee. Elic Ayomanor, 4th-round draft pick. Actually, it was their second 4th-round draft pick at receiver by the Titans. But I like Ayomanor because the team has already talked up. They want to get him out there. That X-receiver role lines up on the line of scrimmage, takes on that contact from the press defender, the cornerback, but he can win those routes. He's shaky and physical enough to be able to do that. I think he's able to make this happen. He has the benefit of a very narrow group of receivers. Sure, we have Calvin Ridley who's going to go downfield a lot, but they need a second receiver to step up. And that defense in Tennessee, not so great. They're going to have to throw the ball. Ayomanor could be another beneficiary of volume is king in fantasy football. And we will see his opportunity, hopefully in week 1. We could see that rookie breakout, and you're getting him at wide receiver 80 in drafts. Don't be surprised if you get a top 60 wide receiver finish from Elic Ayomanor. Let's go next to Kayshon Boutte of the New England Patriots. Look, last year, not a great year, 589 yards, but here's the point. Boutte started playing full-time in week 6, was seeing about 80% of the snaps. He was getting 5 to 7 targets a game, but had some drop issues, and he was learning. But late in the season, when nobody was watching the Patriots anymore, in those last 3 games, he had 100 yards twice with 2 20-point fantasy games, and all of a sudden, it looked like Kayshon Boutte was getting himself a little chemistry with Drake May. Now, we go this year, you bring Kyle Williams in, 3rd-round draft pick, so it's not huge draft capital. Kayshon Boutte has a great chance of being the number 1 receiver. Will he be? Maybe, maybe not. But I think what he showed late last season is something that can be built on. And you can't take away that chemistry that he built with the young quarterback Drake May last year. Kayshon Boutte is not being drafted in almost any league. Spend that last round pick in a deeper league. Take a shot because Boutte could be on the cusp of that breakout you're looking for.